Hey everybody, it's Kira and welcome back to my channel. So today I have my February wrap-up and haul for you guys. So I only got 2 books in the month of February. One of them I read, one of them I didn't, so I'll do the one that I didn't read first. That is An Echo in the Darkness by Francine Rivers. I'm so excited because I found this copy specifically of this book because now it actually matches the other two, so it's 1, 2, and 3 in the series. I did have a copy of An Echo in the Darkness, but it was of a different cover and it wasn't that great, honestly, so I'm very excited to have found this one. So yeah, now let's get into the books that I read in the last month. So I ended up finishing Circus Rose, or The Circus Rose, by Betsy Cornwell. So I read this while at work. The reason that I was able to get through this pretty fast is because half of it is actually written in verse. It's written in poetry, and half of it is in normal prose. So this is kind of it's a fantasy, but about a circus. It follows 2 sisters who are twins named Ivory and Rosie. So Rosie is one of the stars in the circus. Their mother is like the ringleader and like has put this whole like circus together. And then Rosie is one of the, I believe she's trapeze or high wire performer, something along those lines. But like so she's great when she's performing, but like otherwise she's kind of like very quiet and still. And then Ivory is actually works more behind the scenes, but she's always there just kind of making sure things are going okay, and she's always loves exploring and inventing things as well. And then they have this humongous bear, which is a large part of the story as well, who Rosie has a very deep connection with Bear. So it just follows like them as things happen. I feel like I can't give too much away, but Rosie's point of view is always told in verse, and then Ivory tells the rest of the story in prose. So it was a really cool combination of the two, really enjoyable. There's a lot of like magic, and there's a fae character in here, which is very interesting, and I don't know, it's just like super cool. I forget how much I love circus books until I read one, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So like The Night Circus, amazing book. Love that book. Anyways, so Circus Rose, it was really good, enjoyable. I probably won't reread it, but it was really cool, and I loved the blending of the poetry and the prose together, so it was quite fun. After that, I finally finished Steel Striker by Marie Lu. I feel so bad that it took me forever to read this. This was the book I was in the middle of when I stopped to read The Love Hypothesis, which I read in one day. I don't know why it took me so long to read this one, because I did quite enjoy it. Like, once I sat down to read it, I did enjoy it. So it picks up 6 months after the first book ends, and so Talon is now captured by the premier, and is her in and of herself is a, forgot the word, sky hunter. That was the word I was looking for. And so because the premier has her mother under capture as well, she's kind of stuck just doing whatever he says, because he's going to hurt her mom if she doesn't do what he says, or like if he's displeased with her. And like they've started to build the mental connection between this, like a sky hunter and their like owner, I guess you could say. I don't know. The thing that they wanted to do with Red, but like ended up not being able to do it. But she is like, Talon is still connected with Red, and so there's a lot of interconnectedness and a lot of stuff with the telepathic link that they have together. So Red is obviously trying to figure out how to rescue Talon, and it's good. I enjoyed it. I feel like maybe it's just that it moved really slowly. I don't know. It just took forever for me to get into, and I feel really bad because I did enjoy it, but I don't know. After that, I read A Spark Within the Forge by Sabaa Tahir. This is my other book that I bought in the last month. So Sabaa Tahir has been releasing these prequel graphic novels for An Ember in the Ashes series. So the other one was about Elias and Helene, and this one is about Laia and Darin. So it was really cool. I mean, I probably read like 2 graphic novels a year. So I read it in probably an hour, maybe, or less. They just move very fast, which is fun. The drawings in here are very beautiful and cool. the thing that this reminded me of is like just how much of Laya's character development there is, even throughout just the first book, because this obviously takes place before the first book. So she's very like terrified to like do anything against the rules, and like lives in a lot of fear. And throughout like the whole Ember series, you see her kind of come into her own and like become more confident in herself and more bold, and it's really cool like seeing that character development. So like this just reminded me of like how much she really does grow, and it was cool seeing more of their time before the events that happened at the very beginning of Ember as well. So I love anything Sabatier writes, so this was super fun to jump back into the world of Ember. And like I've been missing Ember a lot recently, so I'm probably gonna reread it soon at some point. Speaking of rereading, the next book that I read was Prisoner of Azkaban, the illustrated edition. This thing is big, not as big as Goblet of Fire, which I am borrowing from my mom up there. But yeah, funny story about Prisoner of Azkaban. So I know the movies much better than I know the books, right? And so there's some key differences, not like huge differences, but some differences between the books and the movies, obviously. And so I had two questions while I was rereading this book, because it's been a while since I've read the book. And so I was like, how does Sirius actually buy Harry the Firebolt? I'm going to put this down because it's really heavy. So it was, how does Sirius actually buy Harry the Firebolt? Because in the movie, they don't explain it. It just shows up at the end of the movie with the Buckbeak's tail feather, and that's it. But in the book, it shows up in like the middle of the book, and so you're like, wait, how did he? And then the second one was something about Peter Pettigrew, I think. I don't remember what the second question was. It was something with Pettigrew or Snape, and something that happens in the Shrieking Shack, right? So I texted my mom because she's read the series a ton of times, and we talk about Harry Potter quite often. And I was like, how does this like happen, and what are these things? And she just says, all your answers lie in the Shrieking Shack. And I was like, well, I know that's where the information is given. I just wanted to know before then. She's giving me all this crap, and like she often will ask for spoilers about things because she hates not knowing things, and I always refuse to give them to her because I'm like, no, you have to wait till you find out. So of course, like when I was asking for spoilers, she was like, no, you have to wait, all this stuff. And the other funny thing was, spoilers for Prisoner of Azkaban if you haven't read it, but the way that Sirius gets Harry the Firebolt is, as the dog, he communicates with Crookshanks, and he has Crookshanks bring the like folder, or bring the subscription to the owlery, right? He writes the subscription or the purchase in Harry's name, but then has them take money from his own vault so that he can pay for it. And I'm like, how could I have known that convoluted plan? And my mom just goes, well, if you were a real fan. I was like, oh snap. It was really funny. So I love this series. I quite enjoy reading the illustrated editions. The illustrations are just gorgeous. And it's just been really fun diving back into this world. And then after that, oh my goodness. Okay, so I reread Aurora Rising and Aurora Burning, so that way I could read Aurora's End. Unfortunately, you don't get to hear my thoughts on Aurora's End because I finished it in the month of March, aka I read half of it the last day of February and the second half of it the first day of March, but so it goes in my March wrap-up, but suffice to say, it's extremely good and amazing. But yeah, Aurora Rising and Aurora Burning by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. So this is part of a sci-fi trilogy, the Aurora Cycle. And so it's like, think Found Family, Six of Crows style, but like just sci-fi, and I mean, not quite the same, but a little bit the same. So basically, our main character, we follow a bunch of main characters, honestly, but we have Aurora, who goes to sleep, into a cryo sleep, and ends up waking 200 years into the future. She finds out everyone she loves has died, and she now has one like white iris that glows, and she has this like weird power thing going on with her, right? And so our other main characters are all the people of Squad 312 of the Aurora Academy, which is like a military training academy. And So this squad is people that are kind of like were picked last, along with like the top pilot and the top like leader, because Tyler, our top leader, was out rescuing Aurora during the time when he was supposed to be like picking people for his squad. Anyways, a bunch of misfits get thrown together, and they end up on the run from the government and trying to figure out what's going on with Aurora and her powers, and it's so good. It is so amazing. And then the sequel is Aurora Burning, and there's a ton of insane things. I can't talk about them all, but the sass and the banter between all the characters is top notch, and there's a lot of amazing like romances within it. There's a lot of amazing friendships in it. There's a lot of loss and grief, and also heists, and yeah, just being on the run and trying to figure things out together. And oh my goodness, it's so good. Also, would highly encourage you to read the audiobooks for these, because they have different narrators for each of the characters, because we get a bunch of POVs in the books, and they actually have different narrators for all of them. If you've listened to what are the books? Illuminae, or what are the other ones? These Broken Stars trilogy. If you've listened to those audiobooks, they have some of the same narrators from those ones, which was kind of fun. So when I read them for the first time, I think it was about 2 years ago, I listened to them on audio, and they're really good. So this was my first time actually like physically reading them, which really didn't make any difference, but yeah. And then the third book, oh my goodness. The biggest thing is like the second book ends in the middle of a battle. Like it literally ends in the middle of a battle with a big explosion, and then the book is done. And so then I had to wait like a year and a half for the third book to come out. So I finally read the third book. It's amazing. This series is so awesome. I quite enjoyed them, and will definitely reread them in the future. So yeah, that's it for my February wrap-up. Comment down below, let me know if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts were, or we could talk about what you read in the month of February. I'd love to chat. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to follow me on social media, my links will be in the description as always. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!